Hi, my name is Emily Bozer, and when I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with nodular Hodgkin's lymphoma disease. When I found out that I had cancer, I was shocked at first. I only shed a few tears. My aunt, my mom, and my dad were present in the room, and my aunt was trying to be consoling. My mom was really upset, and I think my dad was in shock too, and it really didn't hit me until we got home, and then it didn't hit me even more than that until we started treatment. So it was just one of those things that didn't really digest at first. The hardest transition for me after finding out that I had cancer was being told that I couldn't go to school and that I couldn't play soccer anymore. I went to school as many days as I could. Most of the time I sat in the library with my aunt, who was a library aide at the high school, and I did my homework in the library just to get out of my house, even though my mom didn't want me to be full in school, just with all the germs around and how low my immune system was. I think that was maybe the hardest thing for me, and then being told that I couldn't play soccer if my counts were too low. So I always played soccer. My counts were never too low not to play soccer, and I was never too sick to not play soccer. But just being told that was a giant adjustment, and being out of school after being a straight A student and being at school every day I could. So I knew my family and everyone was super upset about cancer and whatever, so I never looked negative or like I was sad about it. I always made sure that I had on a smiling face, because the more I was sad, the more I thought they would be sad. So I always had on a brave face. When I was behind closed doors, that is when I was super upset, and that's when I let my feelings show. But I never did it around other people until the end of treatment, where I walked in. We found out that I was in remission about 4 months after I was told I had cancer, and I walked into my mom's room and we both just lost it and absolutely cried it all out, because I think we were both holding on brave faces for 4 months. So I definitely felt like I had to put on a brave face through treatment. I was a super passive coper during this situation. I put it off. I ignored everything about cancer. I took my medications on time and did my mouth washes and went to treatments and all of that. But I completely ignored any thought of being sick. I ignored any thought that I could die or anything like that, and completely put it behind in my mind. So I guess I was kind of a middle coper. I was an active coper when it came to treatment, and we were going to tackle it head on and do whatever we could, but definitely a passive coper for anything emotional that had to come with it. My peer relationships were a little different. I told my basketball team first. Those were the first people to know, because I'm from a small town. It didn't take long for the whole school to know that I had cancer. And I think what hit me most is that people really didn't want to touch me or look at me like I was fragile or I was going to take offense to anything that they said. So that was just a little different, and I knew who my true friends were during this, because those were the people who still kept in contact. On the opposite spectrum, you have those people who you haven't talked to in years, and all of a sudden they're your best friend. So I had two ends of the spectrum with this experience definitely taught me a little bit about myself and how I can cope with a situation. It also taught me how various things are super important, like family and friends and who's actually your friend, and little things like that. It also led me to what I want to be. So I met my child life specialist through this experience, and I've been on the track to be a child life specialist ever since cancer. So I call it a little blessing in disguise, because I knew I wanted to work with children at the time, but I didn't know in what capacity or what profession, and meeting Shelly, my child life specialist, just put me on that path, and I think cancer definitely led me to be a child life specialist, and I think that's my little God's reason in disguise for having cancer. As silly as it sounds, I would definitely tell anyone going through cancer right now to have fun with it. I mean, cut your hair a really funky way before you lose it, diet something crazy, go out and have a really good time before you get sick, put out positive thoughts, make sure that you're like, well, I'm not going to get sick today, no matter how many times the doctor tells you you might, and you probably will, but put out that thought that you're not going to get sick, because it's easier to be positive than it is to have a negative attitude through this thing. I think it makes it easier to go through this experience with a positive attitude and a positive thought. The other thing I would say is have like a favorite snack that you eat during chemo, and only eat that snack, because you're going to eat that snack by the end of treatment and you'll never eat it again. So don't eat any of your favorite foods because you